Welcome you to the second lecture on spinning costing. We'll see in this lecture various terms related to spinning costing. The cost related terms are yarn selling price YSP, raw material cost RMC or clean material cost, conversion cost, mixing cost, and the other important terms. The first uh, 1, 2, and 4 are related. I'm sorry, 2 and 4 are related to the raw material cost, and the 3 is the conversion cost. For the conversion cost, various other technical terminologies are also required to be understood. They are waste multiplier and yarn realization terms tells about the raw material or the material cost. HOK, gram per spindle per shift, tells about the production. Then operatives per 1000 spindle shifts tells about the labor cost. Units per 1000 spindle shifts tells about the uh, power cost. UKG, units consumed to produce 1 kg of yarn. So that is also related to power cost, as these are the three important cost related elements in any of the total costing. First, we'll see the terms related to costing: yarn selling price, raw material cost, conversion cost, and mixing cost. The profit margin of a spinning mill is decided by these two costs: raw material cost and yarn selling price. So the yarn selling price is partially controlled by a spinning mill, but sometimes there are various organizations which fixes the rate, and you can sell your product according to the market price, according to the demand and the market price. Raw material cost. The term raw material cost tells about the clean cotton cost. We can have a little control over the clean material cost by controlling the realization and the selling of waste, but the cost of the raw material cotton cost that we buy especially is not in our hands. So it is a totally external factor. So many factors like say in the current situation like corona and other situations have a greater influence on the cotton price. So it is better if we buy and stock it at a lower cost. The cotton trade is like a stock exchange. The prices go up and down at a very high rate, and when the prices are favorable, if the manufacturers are well enough to buy those raw material and stock them, then they may gain a profit in the future. So the next thing is the conversion cost. This is a controllable factor for a spinning mill. The conversion cost uh, is how well you utilize the various resources like men, machine, and the materials. So this decides your conversion cost. So it is totally a controllable factor compared to your raw material cost and yarn selling price. Yarn selling price on the demand and the market price. So no much control over the yarn selling price, and raw material cost in that the purchases that we do is not dependent on our hands or our control. It is in the markets. According to the market fluctuations, the cotton prices have wide variations, but no such wide variations are there in synthetic fiber cost, but in cotton cost the variations are very high. So this conversion cost, we have already seen in the classification by association what is conversion cost. In leaving away the direct material alone, the direct expenses, the direct labor and manufacturing overhead together constitute the conversion cost. This we have seen already in the basics of costing, the classification by association with the product as product and period cost. So this conversion cost is the one which which is under our control. The direct material cotton especially is not under our control. This conversion cost has to be controlled to a very great extent to attain profitability in an organization. So what is this conversion cost? This conversion cost is equal to the total cost minus clean cotton cost or the raw material cost. The conversion cost is the total cost minus clean cotton cost or the raw material cost. Next important terminology is net output value. This is the difference between the yarn selling price and the raw material cost. So this net output value is the one which decides whether we can go for this count or not, whether our the count of yarn that we produce is profitable, or in total if we it is based on the particular count. For each count, this value will be different in the same way. So which count we are running at a profitable rate, we can find out with this net output value. There are two terminologies which expresses net output value: net output value per kg of yarn produced and net output value per spindle shift. So the first terminology, net output value per kg, indicates the total amount a mill can realize from a particular count in a particular period, ignoring or without accounting for the raw material. So you minus the raw material, what you have totally spent or what you have totally got out of the conversion. So that is your net output value per kg. So this tells about the commercial performance uh, alone. The net output value per kg tells about the commercial performance, whereas the net output value per spindle takes into account the commercial as well as the technical performance of a count. So the difference between yarn selling price and raw material cost is your net output values. When your net output value is higher, then you are more profitable. So you should aim at increasing your net output value. So its expression in two ways: net output value per kg and per spindle shift. Both should be improved for every quarter or every month by a mill. In this slide, you can see the prices of the various cotton varieties in the financial year 2017-18 and 19-20. You can see the prices have fallen down. It is the average prices that are listed. The daily rates will be published in various websites wherein you can see and find if it is feasible price and if it is a lower price, and then buy the cotton from the various markets. There are n number of websites which tell the cotton rates. You can see in this website the rates for the various varieties along with its quality is given. The staple length, the fineness, trash percentage, and the strength values for the various varieties. And the grades are given, and the candy prices and the per quintal prices are also given. You can see the list. Similarly, there are n number of websites giving these prices. Similarly, you can have there are websites which shows the yarn prices also. You can see one website in which the various yarn prices along with the state are given here: Gujarat, Tripura and Coimbatore, Mumbai, Kolkata, Cholapur, Punjab are all given along with the type of yarn. So these are the problems with the cotton cost. The cotton you will buy at different rates from different markets and stock it in your godown. So whether you stock several consignments, uh, it you buy it in various lots, and each consignment is of a different price. So you have problems in calculating the cotton cost. So various mills use various methods for cotton cost calculations. They use a replacement value of cotton, first in first out method, and some practical possible method is according to the mill. The mill decides which method to use, and they use their own method for fixing the raw material cost or the cotton cost. So we'll see the raw material factors and few various calculations in understanding these terms. So after calculating the cotton price, then you use at least two varieties of cotton for spinning any particular count. So the mixing cost has to be calculated, and then mixing cost per kg of yarn can be calculated from yarn realization and selling price of the various ways. So, and then the clean raw material costs are calculated, and waste multiplier is also known from the yarn realization. So we'll look into the each term. So first let us look into the mixing cost. So mixing cost is taken by calculating the weighted average of the various proportions along with the price used for producing a particular count. So the formula used for calculating the mixing cost is equal to the price of cotton A into weight proportion of cotton A plus price of cotton B into weight proportion of cotton B divided by weight proportion of cotton A plus weight proportion of cotton B. So this is the formula used for calculating the mixing cost in a mill. Let us look into a problem to understand the mixing cost better. We have three cotton materials, material 1, 2 and 3, three varieties. The price and weight of each material used are given here. Variety 1, rupees 100 per kg, and kgs used are 1000, or maybe number of bales used are 1000. Material 2, rupees 120, 1200 kgs are used, and then the third material 110 rupees and 1100 is the price. So this is the formula used for finding mixing cost. So substituting the values, we get this value. So on finding, we can find the mixing cost from this value, which is 110.606, a simple weighted average calculation. Let us look into another mixing problem wherein uh, three varieties of material are used, and the price of those material are given, and the weight of two materials are given, and the cost of mixing is given as rupees 115. We need to find the proportion or the weight of the material 3 that is to be used for the mixing. So this type we can to control the cost of the mixing, it should not exceed some price. Then we can find the various proportions that we can go for to get that required cost of mixing. So in this problem, you can sum up the three weights. You can substitute x for the unknown weight, and then you can multiply for the weighted average. You multiply the weight and the price. So you can multiply the weight and the price for the three materials. For the third one, it will be 110x, and you take the sum of the price into weight, and then solving for x, you will get 115 is equal to the numerator is the total of price into weight, and the denominator is the total of the various weights, which we have already seen in the formula. So rewriting, we get like this, and then solving, we get the third weight of material to be 1800. So this, you can get this value in negative or positive. because we are solving it numerically, you have to take the positive value because we may not have any negative values for this. You can check the weight and price of that, multiply both and check whether you get the required cost of mixing after solving the same. Thank you. Now let us try to understand the next terminologies, yarn realization and waste multiplier. So yarn realization is simply the ratio of output to the input, the yarn production divided by the kgs of material that is put as input. So yarn realization is yarn produced in kgs divided by cotton input in kgs into 100. It is given usually as a percentage. So it reveals the how much we have utilized the resources, especially the raw material resource. How well we have utilized the raw material is is understood by this terminology. This is a very important terminology, as we have seen already. The raw material cost is the major cost in the spinning mill, and 1% or even a 0.2 percentage in improvement in yarn realization will yield very high changes in the cost of a total spinning mill. Example, if you produce a yarn of totally 85 kgs for an input of 100 kgs, then your yarn realization is simply 85 percentage. Next is waste multiplier. Waste multiplier is usually a ratio. It gives the quantity of cotton required for producing 1 kg of yarn. Simply, if you multiply, if you have 100 kgs, if you want 100 kgs of yarn, if you multiply it by waste multiplier, you will find how much input you have to put inside the system, or how much weight you have to enter as input material in the mixing. So this gives the allowances due to waste that is generated in the various departments for a particular count. So it is usually the inverse of yarn realization. It is usually expressed as a ratio. So waste multiplier is equal to 100 divided by yarn realization. Example, if we have yarn realization is 90 percentage, then the waste multiplier is 100 divided by 90, which is 1.11. So simply, if we need to produce 90 kgs, 90 into 1.1, you will get 100. That is the input material that you have to put inside the mixing. So next is the important terminology which we need to calculate in a spinning mill, which is the clean raw material cost. This clean raw material cost or clean cotton cost, if only if 100% cotton yarn is spun, then it is called as clean cotton cost. This clean cotton cost is found out using this formula. That is simply the raw material cost, which is the mixing cost that we have found after finding some means of determining the cotton cost. Finally, we find the raw material cost or the mixing cost divided by yarn realization into 100 minus overall selling price of different ways. So this overall selling price of waste is in rupees per kg of yarn produced, and also raw material cost per kg. So this clean material cost is usually termed as raw material cost in the service by research organizations like CITRA. Let us see a simple problem to understand the various terminologies. Say the production in a spinning mill for a particular period, say a day or a week or a month, is 250 tons, and the input in the blow room that is given is 290 tons. Then yarn realization is 250 divided by 290 into 100. So you will get the yarn realization as 86.21. Then the next terminology, waste multiplier, we have already seen. It is the 100 divided by yarn realization is your waste multiplier. So calculating waste multiplier, 100 divided by 86.21, you will get 1.16. So when 250 into 1.16 will give you should give you 290. So we can check. So 250 into 1.16, we can check if we have got the right answer. Yes, we have got the right answer. So we can check the waste multiplier. It is simply to find out for a given for a required production, what is the input that you have to give. Then you have to multiply it with the waste multiplier. So we are checking is over. Next, we can do another data. One is the raw material purchase cost, rupees per kg of raw material, and the overall selling price of the waste, rupees per kg of yarn produced. Both are given. From this, by using the formula for clean raw material cost, we have clean raw material cost. The formula is equal to, yes, it is yarn realization. So 86 by 0.21 divided by, I'm sorry, raw material purchase cost 125 divided by yarn realization. Um, you have 86.21 into 100 minus overall selling price of waste, which is rupees 5. So you get a value of 140. So this is how they calculate the clean raw material cost, which is usually termed as RMC in your surveys. And the YSP is yarn selling price, and NOV is your net output. You can see the Citra website. They usually conduct surveys, online survey for raw material cost. The raw material cost mentioned here is the clean raw material cost, and YSP is the yarn selling price. So they usually give a format. Let us look into the model format. They collect data. Say you can see the model data that they collect usually from the various spinning mills to check. So this is the 85th online survey data collection required by the by Citra. So you can see the count of yarn, and then these are the cost related terms. So their yarn selling price, average raw material cost, average clean raw material cost. Both they have given. The clean raw material cost is RMC. You can see here, and then the terms from 5 to 7 are related to production. You can see they are production related terms. And next, these are the quality related terms. You can see they are collecting the quality related terms also. We can see at the bottom they have given the formula for the clean raw material cost, which we have seen already. The clean raw material cost, rupees per kg of yarn, is raw material cost in rupees per kg divided by yarn realization into 100 minus overall selling price of different ways expressed as rupees per kg of yarn. So this is how the survey is collected, and we can see a survey online. They have put the average yarn selling price and raw material cost from the 85th survey that was conducted for the June 2020. So average yarn selling price and raw material cost from the and net output value for the various mills. The average is put here. You can see yarn selling price for 30 carded was 163. Raw material cost is rupees 120 per kg of yarn produced, and then net output value is 43, and rupees per spindle or if it is rotor yarn, then the rotor shift is 6.2, and the percentage of raw material cost uh, from the yarn selling price is 74, and the survey taken for 4 mills. We can see the list extends for various varieties, and if our net output value is high, then it means that we are commercially performing better, and this tells whether we are commercially and technically performing well. That is why these data are collected by the research organizations.